Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this series of interviews on the Awaken the Illumined Heart with all the teachers of the School of Remembering. Today with us is Luca, but let's hear the name from him said in the right way.
Hi, hi, Gab. I'm really happy to be here. Yeah, you said it right. It's Luca. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I'm really happy to be here.
All right. Thank you, Luca.
Yeah.
Next question will be, where are you right now?
Okay. Well, right now I'm in a beautiful natural surroundings in China, but actually I'm born in Europe. You know, it just happens. My wife is Chinese, and we are having workshops in 3 weeks, I believe. So ATIH in Beijing here, we're just starting. So when I arrived here in this time, it's just quarantine time.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
authorities are also pretty tight on that. Uh,
Well,
Next
yeah,
question. Well, you answered the next question, which is, where are you originally from? You said Europe. About precisely
Mhm.
where about in Europe?
Yeah. You know that little tiny country beside Italy where you are from?
Yeah.
You know, Slovenia, right?
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
from Slovenia. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
So when you're back in Europe, we definitely need to catch up. Um,
yeah. I think we are just like 5 hours from each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're very close. So tell us a little bit about your formal education. What did you study growing up?
Okay, so I think formal education, I like quit the university 3 times. You know, I was studying graphic design. I was studying working with nature. It's called forestation. Like forest management. You
Hmm.
know, because I love nature since I was a teenager. I didn't go on Friday night to go on party. I went to the forest. So I love the trees. I love the nature. So I did and also I did the management, the and the economy. So actually I quit all of the universities. I never want to finish them. It was always like uh, they give me some information, but when I see it's more or less about putting things into your head and brainwashing, I never want to continue. So it's like I have every college I quit after 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that leads us to the next question, which would be
Yeah.
career background.
Hmm. Oh, so um, before I started to teach ATIH, right? So I finished School of Remembering 2013. Uh, I was more or less like a freelancer
Hmm.
for spirituality.
Hmm.
So I did some workshops by myself. But you're asking about formal background, right? Or like work that I did.
Yeah,
So
work.
I was, yeah. So well, I was doing design and marketing,
Uh-huh.
and well, actually all sorts of stuff. I could say I was presenting things in a company, like what our companies is making, and I was presenting them to other customers. But all of this work actually was preparing me for actually what I'm doing now. I was few years working as in a like assistant manager.
Hmm.
I know that doesn't look like me, like I was in a suit and a tie, uh, you know, and yeah. So actually, I had like 10 years of working in
Corporate
business,
world.
corporate world. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And then you became a teacher for the School of Remembering.
Yeah. Well, how I started with all of this. Since I'm now 38 years old, right?
Uh-huh.
But since I was in high school, I was doing spirituality. I was doing meditation, right? So I got Drunvalo's book, Flower of Life, Ancient Secret Flower of Life 1 and 2, at the moment when they were published, right?
Mm.
Um, and that was in the year was it 98 or
98 to 97.
99, 19, something like that, right?
Mhm.
And so this was something that connected all the dots, you know. I needed those books, and I started to study Merkaba and all the sacred geometry. So I was one of those people that you meet that always wants to talk about the crazy topics, you know. You know, about ancient history, about alternative history of Egypt and Sumeria, and I did you know, a lot of work on myself,
Mm.
uh, like also astral traveling. I started. I had a lot of passion to do these things. So I was never like a person who likes to go only on the formal education. So when you ask me about formal education, I'm like, I need to think about it. I already forget, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how did you meet Drunvalo?
Drunvalo, you mean in person?
Yeah.
Yeah, in person. I think it was 2010
Hmm.
or something around that year. So I went to the workshop in Sedona. Um, Actually, he was already in Europe in 2003. At that 2003, he had Earth Sky Heart
Hmm.
and Living in the Heart, or Living in the Heart workshop. I don't remember how the name was called, um, but actually, I met Drunvalo like in person when I can talk to him. It was 2010 or 2011, yeah, in Sedona.
And that
Yeah,
was
and then
for the ATIH?
yeah, it was ATIH, or at that time, I think he didn't have a name yet. I should check my calendar exactly which year was it, but I think that was the time when he was deciding to get a new name for the workshop. Yeah,
Okay, got it. And so
yeah.
when did you study for or prepare for the teacher training?
Okay, that was a really interesting story. Do you want to hear about it? It's
Absolutely.
really, it's actually it was 2013, right? I joined the teacher training. This was like the second or third teacher trainings he did, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, I think third one, I believe. Uh, you know, after I finished my class with him in Sedona, I was, you know, in Europe, and you know, I completely surrendered into whatever my higher self wants me to do. So you know, I felt that after activation of Merkaba and everything, I mean, from the heart, right? I did before the old one, but connecting with the heart was completely different. And I remember one time, brother, it was I was by the lake. It's in Velenje, Slovenia lake. I can tell you where. And I went into my tiny space, and I just said, okay, now universe, I surrender 100%. Anything that you want me to do, I will do it. And I did a creation process, you know, the beams of light and the tongue. I think you know what I mean, right? And I just said, in my tiny space, anything I need to do, just I will do it. Just give me the vision.
Mm.
And I remember Drew said was, any vision that you see, don't judge, just accept as it is, right? And I didn't see anything, you know. I saw Drunvalo coming into my tiny space. Uh, this was July 2013, and he just said the word congratulations. And I was like, what is this? And you know, in tiny space, you're not really thinking. You know, I just sent this vision up and to, you know, 13 chakra and everything. And I was like, okay, whatever this is, okay, I surrender. And I went home on my laptop and I checked the School of Remembering website, like, oh, what this thing about, right? I mean, long time I didn't check his website, right? And then I see next week, this was Monday, and I see next Monday he has a workshop in Sedona, and it says Awakening the Illuminated Heart, right? And I say, you know, I got this higher self coming, you know, like, you know, that feeling when you are merged with higher self 100%. I must be there. And I thought it's a normal ATIH again, you know. But then I click on it and I see Awakening Heart teacher training, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my God, I how can I go there? Sorry, brother, it's a little longer story. Can I go on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't
Sure.
worry about
Yeah, yeah. And then, I go there and I see it's already, the signups are closed, right? Because it was Monday, 1 week before, the signups are closed. But I say, okay, I will just answer the questionnaire anyway,
Uh-huh.
And there were like 50 questions or something. I answer all this. I didn't even reread them. I just, with all the grammatical errors, I just send it. I need to send a photo. Just send one photo, like this really bad photo. And I think anyway, it will not happen. I surrender, but whatever. And then next Monday, I get email from Diane Cooper, right? He's Drunvalo's assistant at that time. Drunvalo accepts you on teacher training, and like what?
You're welcome to come.
You're welcome to come. There's not enough time for bank wire transfer. You just pay there when I come. Like, okay. And then that moment, brother, I realized I didn't save any money for teacher training.
Right.
I was like, really? I go teacher training? And I felt in my tiny space great peace, but my mind went crazy,
Mm.
And then I said, okay. I checked the website. I checked the hotels in Sedona. They're crazy, like prices like $200 per night, $300. And then I check, okay, you know what? I'm just going to put my car into the ad online. If somebody buys my car this week, I can go. Otherwise, I don't go. I really surrender. I had a Honda. And then, how you publish a car? You just take photos, publish online, and you do it. You let it go. Next day, Wednesday, somebody calls me. I want to see your car. Okay. It was the beautiful summer day, the worst day to sell your car, because everything that could be wrong with my car was wrong. My steering wheel did this. There was a little strange smell, from the engine. What's that? The brakes had needed to be changed. But it was a nice car, nice color and everything. And then, he checks my car, that guy, and he criticizes everything,
Mm.
And then he says he's a car mechanic. And car mechanics are the worst people to buy your car. You know that. They know things you will never know, right?
Yeah.
And he criticizes everything. And because I put higher price online,
Uh-huh.
and then I thought this is, he will go like, thank you. I want to say, thank you and goodbye. But then, what happened? He stands there. He says, I don't know why I will buy this car,
But I have to buy it.
but I will buy it because of the color. He says because of the color, and the car mechanic will never say this nonsense. Car mechanic doesn't care about color. And he paid me cash, and it was just everything covered, because I said, angels, if I need to go to that teacher training, you show it to me. Okay, I surrender, but I will not push it. Okay.
Yeah.
And everything was arranged, and I was on that. I had 3 weeks wonderful time in Sedona.
Mhm.
And then we had a closing circle with Drew, and he went to everybody, and he gave everybody a crystal and everything, and said something to everybody. But to me, he didn't say anything at the beginning. I just hear telepathically tell me, congratulations.
Ah.
And I went, reverse, here, And I thought, okay, now angels, higher self, thank you. You showed me. Now I believe 1,000%. And this is how I came to be a teacher. I didn't
Beautiful
plan. There
story.
was no agenda.
Mhm.
There was no agenda. I just surrendered.
That's such a beautiful story. Um, so tell me how things evolved from there. So that was 2013.
Yeah.
So you've been teaching 8 years now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you do this full time. So you how many workshops do you do on a yearly basis?
Well, as I said, I surrendered, and actually workshops just started to came to me. So there was I had a couple of years when I did workshop almost every week. Um, so like 3 workshops per month, but now of course everything is more
Yeah,
easy.
online,
Yes,
more
now they are
online.
Online, yes, it's nice to do online. We can still do it. Just some exercises you cannot do it online.
Yeah.
Uh, but you asked me how many I did. I think it's between 150 and 200, somewhere there. I didn't count now.
That's impressive. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so during all of this time, you must have had some incredible experiences, or direct experiences of the Merkaba and the tiny space of the heart. You shared one experience of the tiny space of the heart, and why don't you tell us one of these experiences in
Mhm.
light of the Merkaba and also in light of the tiny space of the heart, so people can relate or understand what the experience was about.
Mhm. Okay, so well, I had a multiple great experiences with Merkaba.
Mm.
Of course, before ATIH, I was doing the old way of Merkaba with mudras.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for 5 years about,
Wow.
because you need to do it for 2 years, but I skipped some days, so I need to do it again for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
but
was hardcore.
I love that thing too. Just the heart connection with Merkaba, that's something undescribable. I mean, when one time I was just laying in my bed in the afternoon, and I just said, because I was just napping and I just had I was really relaxed, not in my head, right? And I said, okay, go in my tiny space, the female way. I just go to my tiny space, and my tiny space brought all of me. This is really the first time I had that. That was like 2000. That was after teacher training. It was 2014. All of me into that place there, and I could walk in my tiny space like now. Like the dream became so real in tiny space. Uh, I could see the higher self, and even higher self realized this is me. There's no higher self. I'm the higher self.
Mm.
And then anything you think about appears in tiny space. This is really what the Upanishads say.
Yeah. So like
Everything.
an experience of unity consciousness.
Yes, and at the end, actually realize it's only you in the universe.
Mm.
This is what the Heart Sutra says. What the ancient texts from India say. There is only one unity, one consciousness, and in tiny space, really, it's nothing else. It's every person you meet in tiny space is you. And then this, when I experienced that, um, actually my perspective of life completely changed out in the outside dream also.
Mm.
So even right now when I talk to you, I see you, brother. You are me. I'm talking to myself, right?
Mm.
Um,
Very
so
interesting. I think this is a key fundamental experience on the spiritual journey, or at least on the ascension journey, or whatever we want to call it. It's an essential experience that everyone should have for human development and personal development. I mean,
mhm.
when you drop all the separation or experience for one, it's just sometimes it's just a tiny spark. It's a few seconds experience.
Yes,
When you are in there and you experience that, then the tiny petty fights and moments of anger and quarrels with people and trying to steal these or trying to be at the helm and controlling and manipulating all of that, it just makes no sense anymore because you're basically doing it to yourself. um,
yeah.
and that's probably, in my opinion, how the Indian sages addressed the subject of karma. They could see the law
Hmm.
of causality, cause and effect, but
Hmm.
they could also experience directly that whatever you do to someone else, it's what you do to yourself.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing this. This is a beautiful experience, very deep. And
yeah.
so I know you, as a teacher, are not supposed to do this, but are there, without mentioning any names, can you share experiences that your students had, something related to the tiny space of the heart or the Merkaba?
Well, yeah. Well, many, and so. some of the students, when just before the Merkaba meditation, they might already feel it's already happening. You know, even when sometimes it happens that when I just speak about the process, because when I speak, I'm partially doing it, you know, and people can feel it. So guiding an ATIH is not just giving information, you must do it with your whole self. And one really amazing experience that happened in Hong Kong was on day 4, I was just explaining the Merkaba process, putting the tongue up and all this thing, go to tiny space. And there was one lady, one sister, she, with open eyes, she activated Merkaba, and she was doing this. Look, I already did it, and you know, she feel the pranic tube and all of these things going on. This was like 4 years ago, and actually, that's what Drunvalo says, and what we teachers we teach. There's not only the male way of teaching; there must be a female way, which doesn't care about the procedure. They just go there. They
Goes
just
there. Yeah.
activate Merkaba. Okay, done. Next. And the same thing, you know, happens with this green light here. You know, Drunvalo was teaching us. Of course, we follow the green light in the third eye when we open the third eye, and many people just see different colors, not green, or even they feel the light because you can see, feel, or know. And even I had people who, well, some things, if I tell you now, will sound crazy, you know, but they could lift off of the chair for about 10 centimeters when they activated the Merkaba. I know this sounds, you know, in the woo, this is the woo stuff, but yes, and because in the Cosmic Grace workshop that Drunvalo was teaching in 4 years ago, 2016, I believe. It's also about levitation. So the Merkaba is the magnetical field which can lift you off the ground.
Right.
So some students, they told me they meditated listening to the recording from the workshop. They listened to the Merkaba, and then, you know, they woke up in another place in their room. So it's like they teleported, or they moved somewhere. So that's, for example. But about the experiencing the Merkaba from students, you know, I guide the Merkaba meditation between 30 to 60 minutes, but mostly it's done in 20 minutes or so. But then after this, I just guide the meditation further, and that they feel the Merkaba more. That is not just Merkaba active done, okay, that we feel it, and we even we can go to the sun. We can take all of our bodies, Merkaba, right? The bodies, the subtle bodies we can take. And some students, they after we come back, they have the same vision, but they share the visions at the end. Like, I saw this. Oh, I also saw this, and they were like, it's so amazing. We had 10 or 15 people. They share the same vision, or similar vision. You know, similar, because it's our imagination that changes stuff. And that's another amazing thing. Then other things is that people feel hot or sweaty. One student, he needed to change his t-shirt. I had one student who had a multiple personality disorder, but I didn't know he has it because I'm not allowed to have these people on the workshop. But he didn't tell me. But after Merkaba activation, he solved the multiple personality disorder because because he had other entities affecting him. He had wounds, holes in his energy body, and the magnetical field Merkaba from the heart healed this. You know.
Wow.
Um,
Fascinating.
just this is just some of them I just
Wow.
remember now.
Thank you for sharing. These are fascinating subjects, and I'm glad we have the opportunity to record it. And I'm gonna open a little bracket. Forgive me. I'm gonna spin off in a certain direction. There's a great professor, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, who has been um, studying the extrasensory perceptions and what in the psychology is called parapsychology in academia. And he unfortunately suffered a lot of criticism through the years, and I'm actually really glad that he's very resilient and keeps working on his subject. But one book that he's created and published is titled "The Sense of Being Stared at," where he lays out all the regular everyday phenomena that people, like individual people with no special ability or claiming no belief in such things, can actually have or recognize a direct experience of psychic ability or telepathy, if you want. And one of these is the simple subject of, knowing who's calling you before you pick up the phone, or intuitively knowing that your mom is thinking of you or writing of you or thinking about your mom, and then 20 seconds after your mom sends you a text. This is an extremely common phenomenon. He's recorded thousands of cases like this, and during his workshop collected them and then placed them as evidence for something to be either studied on a more I don't like to use the word scientific, but I think the correct word would be lab based ways with technology, possibly with electromagnetics, and I don't know, in a vacuum space or in a Faraday cage, where you can actually monitor with technology what is actually happening at an electromagnetic wave sensory perception. And so what you're sharing right now, what everyone else is sharing, I think has a value for data collection. And it also validates a lot of people's experience. And I think there's so much value in what we're talking about because of that. So many out there like they're interested in yoga, they're interested in meditation, they think it's the fashion, the thing to do, something different, something, let's explore this, it makes me feel good. Why is it making me feel good? It's really fun, it's beautiful, or like I'm getting somewhere. And then finally, hearing this kind of experiences, they will go, oh my God, there's actually more. Oh my God, let me read what that book is all about. And little by little, people drop out the belief systems that have been imposed by religion, if you want, or by family, or by education, or by simple pretentious skepticism. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually going on with this interview series.
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing this. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate that. And I'm sure a lot of people appreciate the fact that you guys are talking about your personal experience and everyone else's experience. And so in light of this, I want to ask you your personal experience also of how you manage the equation for happiness nowadays in our current world is based on three things: money, health, and relationship. So usually people, when they have these three pillars, these 3 points, taking this little three pillar triangle taken care of, they supposedly have happiness. And so how did you manage all of these things through the Merkaba or the tiny space of the heart?
Okay. First, I also want to say thank you to you, Gab, for doing this. For making this, let's say, awakening heart teachers documentary.
Pleasure.
I think it will have an impact on the world. So just referring back to the psychic abilities a little. Well, it's I think you give me like two sorts of topics now, right? So one is the Merkaba and psychic abilities. You cannot activate your Merkaba permanently unless you have the beams of light active, which are actually our CDs, our psychic activators. But there are also, as how I experience, when we go to tiny space, we activate the beams of light from the heart. So we have 10 beams of light from the heart and 8 beams of light from the head, the primary ones, and then more. And all of this, how I experience, they go, and they also connect. They're like sensors, and our Merkaba can receive the information through the electromagnetic field. So when you said you just know when your mother will call you or somebody will call you or something, it's because everything is electromagnetical, and my Merkaba already knows what your Merkaba knows. So if we would be on Atlantis, like we wouldn't even need to talk, because talking is the lowest level of telepathy. Talking is actually should be used for singing and for not just for logical conversation. We would just have a workshop like downloading. We'll have a mass telepathy. There would be like a crystal in the middle of the room and we were just downloading the workshop. uh, so it's the same like now people are awakening, and awakening cannot happen just in the head. You cannot just watch the videos online and read the books. You must actually do the work. You must actually one day say, I will not don't do anything with these books. I just go into my heart, because you must go down before you can go up. That's the ascension. You cannot just go up. It's like these waves, right? So you must go to the heart, reconnect, and then. So the sensory activations. Well, for me it happened. Well, since I was a teenager, I was talking to the trees. Okay, I know nobody believed me at that time, but I had different names from the trees and so on. But I could only talk to them when I was close to them. And later I realized this is because electromagnetical field is there. Then I realized the forest has consciousness, has a spirit, is talking to me. And then actually when we have a workshop, we are like one electromagnetical field. And it happens that students will have similar experiences because their merkabas are pretty much talking to each other. And then we connect our heart and with love with the earth and the sun, and pretty much we are downloading from Mother Earth and Father Sun. And this is the moment when we don't need to have books anymore. We get books just to trigger some of our inner knowledge. And this is, I think, the greatest awakening, the greatest remembering, that all comes from everywhere, not just from getting it in a book. So supersensory activations, I think it happens naturally with the person is more in touch with their consciousness, the heart, and the heart and the brain communicate in coherence. So that's about that topic, brother. And then you ask me uh, the second thing about
The three pillars.
how the three pillars.
Yeah.
Well, that I think that depends a lot on the cultural background. Where a person is born and how we are being brought up. If we are being brought up in a Buddhist monastery, it's not relationships, money, it's something else, right? But I think the modern mind has moved so far away from unity consciousness that it's thinking about self-survival. So I really have a great way to explain this to you and maybe to anybody who listens. You know, there's a difference between being happy and having fun. Okay, actually, I say it like this: the mind always wants to judge good and bad. I want to be happy. I don't want to be sad, right? And we are putting these things here, but the other part of the scale gets stronger, and one time it will push you down. So if we only want to be happy, happy, happy all the time and go into, I want to have the great relationship, I want to have money will make me happy, or another thing that will make me happy, the happiness will never come. This is actually living from the mind, from the brain. I want something to be happy, but this happiness will never come, because whenever you put a condition before happiness, you'll never be happy. It can be great relationship, but then you want a better relationship, but then you want €1,000, they want €10,000, and then you're never satisfied.
Yeah.
And so this is actually about the brain wants to satisfy the current needs, the survival. This is the reptilian brain that wants to, but the frontal lobe thinks the bigger picture. the bigger ideas, and the frontal lobe and the heart, when they're in coherence, we are in the true happiness and bliss. And it's like this is how I explain living from the heart or creating from the heart. The heart can say, I will create this if I get it, if I receive it, okay. But if I don't receive it, it's also okay. It's not like if I don't receive it, I will be, depressed, I will be sad. That's how the brain works. Our modern mind, the three pillars, you said relationships, money, and
Health.
what is that? Health. Yes. So actually, the heart knows that we are immortal. So, and when you know that you are forever, the current relationship doesn't really matter, because as within, so without, how the relationship with yourself will reflect to outside. The health that you have inside of you will reflect outside. And the money is actually the tool to do what you need to do. It's right. So actually, those of viewers who know, I learned this from my wife. She's a wonderful person. She taught me two Chinese words, Kaixin and Gaoxing. These are two ways how to say happy and having fun. And the true way of happiness, Kaixin, means open heart. So to be really happy, you must have an open heart, and this is no judgment. And I think that's the biggest takeout that students from ATIH can get, to live in the heart and not judging ourselves and the world, or less judgment. And this will bring better life to you and to the world.
Right. It's a very fundamental topic. I'm glad that you mention it in a polarity-based subject, because in the Indian tradition as well, the yogis, and I think there's a mention in the Upanishad as well, where they distinguish between shreyas and preyas, that which is beneficial versus that which is pleasurable. Where now people consider happiness and joy, or fun,
Yes.
happiness and fun. That which
Yes.
is beneficial has a long-term positive effect. That which is pleasurable will always end up into an addiction, or somehow a cycle of repetition, or a need for more, or somehow an effect on the body. So thank you for mentioning this. This is another fundamental subject for a lot of people right now. And the reason why I asked you about the equation, the happiness equation pillars, is because really people, when they have all of this done, they come to a point, health is good, money is what they want it to be, and relationships are good, then they'll start asking questions. They will start asking the fundamental questions, the ones that will lead them inside. And that is why I think a lot of people are still kind of a little detached from spirituality, or if you want, the inner growth development, personal development, is because they are too worried about taking care of their family, or working 9 to 5 to make money and take care of their family, or their health is not really good, so their mind is focused on that rather than other things. And so
It's true. But we cannot always have spring. If we see the nature, we need to go into the sleep cycle, and then we go into the spring. But what the modern mind always wants is to always have the
fun.
shiny things, the fun.
Always summer. Yeah.
Always summer. It cannot be like that, right? Even Mother Earth, she was in cycle of sleep for 13,000 years, right?
Yeah, excellent point. I'm going to move on to the next question, which is very much related to the current times. And I mentioned this question to you. It's a funny one, and it's also an opportunity for people to ask their own questions on the subject. And so, in 2000, it was the end of the biblical universe. 1,000 or more thousand, we were thinking the end of the world was coming. And then 2012, same shebang. End of the Mayan calendar, the end of the world. And mind you, that summer in 2012, there was a massive corona ejection that almost hit the planet. But that's in NASA records. That's with it's public information. If that had hit the planet, we were really gone. But then
So
now,
you're
2020.
talking about the CME, right? The blast from the sun, right?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah. It was a massive flash that I believe I can't really read the coordinates. I don't know how to read it properly, but there's a record on NASA public statements and public articles that prove that a massive ejection of a diameter bigger than the planets than the Earth axis was ejected and was coming our direction. It literally missed of like 100 or 200 kilometers. It literally passed like it's over our head, literally like this.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And the the reason why I'm saying this is finally we have the end times. Last year with this COVID shebang, the world came to an end. And so
Yeah,
now it finally happened. And so now we are in the end times with all these human-made. Okay, I mean I shouldn't make any statements that could be controversial, but like anything that is happening right now, it sounds to a lot of people like the end of times. And so, from your perspective and from the perspective of Drunvalo's teachings, or whatever he shares, tell us about the Earth, what's happening on the planet, and also what is the ascension process in your opinion. There's a lot of talk about the ascension process and so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, returning back to the cycles, right? So on Mayan calendar, so the everything is rotating around something in spirals, right? And this is not just like a random number. So the Mayan calendar and sacred geometry, they're the same thing. So even 226 million years that our sun needs to go around the center of the galaxy, that's actually written in the flower of life pattern.
Okay.
So if you count the number of angles of the three-dimensional flower of life and all these things, you will get it that nothing in the universe is random. So some there could be
Everything is
some guys
cyclical.
coming. Yes, cyclical, yeah. But actually, it will happen on an exact time. I mean, the energy will change when you observe where we are. You can from outside you can see, aha, Earth is going to go into this cycle now, and the sun will go into that cycle now. You can see it, and our energies are a response to the energies of the universe. This is the principle: as above, so below. So when the sun goes into another phase, Earth goes into another phase, and we go to another phase.
Right.
So,
Yeah, everything inside the solar system is affected by the sun's activity, no doubt.
yeah, you could say like center of the galaxy, it's like a mothership and sends information to the rest of us, and we are all like in perfect alignment. And then, unless there is one one star making a problem or something, everything is in alignment. But what you said, ascension, actually, for me, ascension is a process that is always happening. Ascension and descension. So I always like a bigger picture, like when we came from the central flower of life and we start to separate, like fractal universe, like we are like one fractal of one consciousness. This is already descension. So we need to separate from the source to experience the separate reality. And then remembering the heart and unity is already ascension. And little points of ascension are happening all around the globe. So me and you and people who are working on themselves, they are bringing ascension to the consciousness of humanity. And ascension, pretty much in one sentence right now, would be just go from the head to the heart. That would be the basic step. But on the bigger scale, it's bringing the whole collective consciousness from from the old one, which is duality, which is the one of separation, into the unity. And this also affects our DNA. It affects the activation of 2 more chromosomes. And this is what the result is. Also the Christ consciousness activates the growth of the skull, right? So what is actually happening right now is some people are in even bigger game of duality than ever before, and some other people are so much in unity perspective, and that's already a duality, right? Because duality is, in a way, it has like a time limit, and it has like a program inside of itself that in one moment it will finish, and then we will be all reunited back into one point. So it's like expanding, and here we want to kill each other, destroy each other, and then ascension coming back. And there were
Like a
many
toroid.
prophecies, like a toroid, yeah, like, outside, inside, outside. And there were a lot of end of times in the history. There were a lot of plagues in the world. There were even, prophecies of ascension being every few hundreds of thousand years, right?
Yeah.
But 2012 is the end of the cycle, and it's the end of the cycle. It means the old world must transform into the new one,
Mm.
or it gets destroyed. That's my perspective. It must transform, and it's like a being born. That's why Drunvalo says, "Birth of the new humanity,"
Right.
like a
So we're
birth.
talking about as human beings rather than the planet itself.
Yeah, because the planet has no problem at all.
Yeah.
The planet, even if we throw now all of our plastic into the ocean, the Earth will survive, right?
Yeah.
But our consciousness, we are using these humanoid
Vessels.
vehicles,
Yeah.
vessels, yeah, for our consciousness to grow. And
Mhm.
if we don't figure it out, and if there's not a critical mass, the 100 monkey effect that happens, well, we'll just need to find another planet. But
Yeah.
I believe we will make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As you said, my perception on the planet, it's always been one of uh, deception. Where I mean, the planet doesn't give a shit if we're here or not. And I have a little bit of, maybe I am a bit skeptic when in the self-development and spiritual community, or alternative thinkers speak of the planet as, Mother Earth. Yeah, she loves us, and I have no doubt of that, but she just needs to shake a little bit and we're done. She's gonna
Mhm.
go
Yeah.
and
Yes.
or just this, and humanity is over. So she ain't got no problem about us doing whatever we want. Of course, survival again is priority for humanity, and hence we need to take care of our house, and that
Yeah.
is what's happening right now. I mean, there's a lot of attention around climate change, and I am, as a I didn't mention this to you. I have a master in environmental um, policy and economics,
Mhm.
along with a master in philosophy, Indian philosophy and religions.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I'm really pleased to see is so much attention, even on the corporate side, even from the money makers that were
Mhm.
never really interested in the planet, just on making money through the planet.
Mhm.
There's a lot of attention in taking care of our ecosystems, and changing climate issues, and becoming more resilient. And new technologies are coming. There is definitely a trend of investment into renewables, and a massive trend of technology into the alternative, and even unconventional technologies like plasma and so on. That pleased me a lot. It shows me that despite how much control uh, and I'm not going to say anything else on the subject, but like the current COVID situation, is bringing a lot of fear to people, and at the same time there's another bunch of us that are just going in the direction of, okay, yeah, that's happening, but let's move on and take care of the planet, and let's make sure energy, which is our prime challenge right now, it's taken care of. We find new ways of stopping using oil, stopping using coal, new technology, electromagnetism, all of that is available. We can start develop all of that, and that is pleasing me. I see it in the investment world. I see it in the direction
Yeah,
that the financial world is going. Sorry, I kind of dropped you
it's okay.
out,
No,
of,
you
out
didn't.
of the bridge here. Did you want
Well,
to say
it's
something else?
no, actually, it's nice when you say this. Well, from my perspective, right, from when I'm in my tiny space or sacred space of the heart, everything seems in balance. Even the disharmony is part of the greater harmony. So even if we are polluting the world, or even we have the virus now, doesn't matter where it came from, or was it handmade, man-made, or doesn't matter. It's still a teacher of, it's like a catalyst of change, right? So
Beautiful.
like
That's
every,
so well said. Catalyst for
yeah,
change. That's what it is.
yeah, because even every war was a catalyst of change, right? You can say every Second World War was horrible, but it changed humanity into one direction, right? And there are always some energies that we know them. They are from Atlantis, or even before they are on our planet, and they want it for themselves, right? And then they even want to take some humans or animals for themselves, and they get energy from them, like the same way like we use the animals for our food. They want to use us for the food, right?
Right.
um, so actually that's and even this thing, when it sounds so bad, when we say, let's say, reptilian entities are somewhere, even they have a divine part of the universe. Otherwise they would not exist. So that's the thing, the light and dark is a game, but behind this is only one player playing both sides.
So let me ask you, what do you recommend for people personal? What is your perception on ascension, and what do you recommend for people that are interested in growing and see the need for personal growth, and how can they start, or where can they go? What is their what your recommendation on that?
Okay, so first thing I would say, don't worry about, don't be so goal oriented. Like we always like to say, we will go to heaven, we will ascend to the five dimension, we will ascend, right? Like this is like something we do and we are done, right?
Mm.
So ascension, it's like a process, like it's like a path. It's like you will go on the top of the mountain and meet your master or something. And your master will say, "Great job. Now you go down." Now you go down. There's some other mountain there, and advice for ascension. Uh, we live now in the time when all of the layers of ourselves are peeling off, and there's no more time anymore to be fake, to lie to yourself or others, because this will show up. There's no more time to say I am better than others. I am higher than you. Like in old systems, there were. Um, I mean, in old Eastern spiritual school, you have a guru, and guru actually brings guru and ru means dark and light, right? Brings you from darkness to light, right? So that's the point, that guru is only showing you dark and light, and then you must find your own path, right? It's not about you must follow a master. And that's what I love with Drunvalo is he never called himself, I'm a master, you must follow me. Like Jesus. Jesus never said, you must follow me. I think if Jesus would be alive today, he would say, why are you guys following me? I told you, I told you, you
Do
you
your
you
thing.
find your own. Yeah, everything is inside you. So I think that's the thing. The new energy will support, in the new cycle, will support uh, unification being brothers and sisters in a way. But that process is not easy. When we think about Atlantis, we think that was a romantic story. No, it was not. There was war there. There was problems there. So coming back into your personal unity
Thanks.
with the world must go through some difficult times, and this is where we are right now. I believe
I
we are
respect
going
that.
through these difficult things.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think being truthful to oneself and standing in the truth of the fact, not your own truth, because sometimes we distort our truth. The
Mhm.
fact,
Mhm.
it's always very, very paramount in anyone's life and in anyone's growth. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna ask you some very fringe questions now. And I want to
Okay.
hear your opinion. There's a lot of discussion on the subjects out in the community, and they're
I'm ready.
delicate subjects. Let's dive into this crazy stuff. One of the questions I started asking you is about telepathy and extrasensory perception, out of body experience, uh, premonition, precognition, intuition, all of these beyond mind capacities and experiences. Have you noticed a spike of their manifestation, or have you mastered some of them since you've been teaching the Merkaba, or since you've been going into your heart? And the same I would like to hear about your students. Some of them may have told you
Mm.
about specific experiences. The reason why,
Mhm.
again, it reconnects to Dr. Sheldrake, but also many other
Mhm.
professors and high academics that are really making an effort to bring this to the mainstream. And I think we should do that too. Finding the way to
Mhm.
speak in an academic terminology,
Mhm.
so that people can understanding and not just discard it as woo woo and crazy,
Mhm.
psychedelic nonsense. And that
Mhm.
is needs that paradigm needs to be shifted, in my opinion.
Mhm.
It's time.
Yeah, yeah. So, so let's say like this: everybody is a psychic, right? It's just they must recognize it. Some people always wait for something to happen, and then after this, they can have super sensory abilities. But even right now, we are doing telepathy,
Right.
and right. So I teach a lot in Asia, and in Asia, there's that thing that you must wait that your third eye opens, and then you can see.
Mm.
And that doesn't happen because you're waiting for something.
Yeah.
It's like these are like super sensory abilities are like muscles. You must train them.
Oh, excellent metaphor. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good metaphor.
they are muscles. It's actual muscles on spiritual. These beams of light, if you don't train them, I mean, if you don't work with them, they'll just, brain wants to say, okay, I'll go to sleep now. I don't want to be super psychic. From neurologist or the expert on the brain, he would say the brain only wants to be lazy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's some force that it's us, right? It's making the brain work. But the brain wants to repeat the old ideas, doesn't want to get new ideas. So unless you are an awakened person working on yourself, you will not achieve much. So working on your abilities goes hand in hand with meditation. And from my point of view, it works hand in hand with the heart meditation. Uh, because if I'm disconnected here, I can get the biggest download from the universe, and there will be just a little thing here, like because our whole body is one system. It's not just focusing on your pineal gland. Even if your pineal gland is a crystal, it's like whole body is working as a one system. I was doing psychic exercises or like training my exercises even like 10 years before I started to teach ATIH. But that was like because I was like a person who want to do that, like seeing auras and these things. But after Merkaba and after beams of light, these things went like this, like to the roof. But again, if I forget about them, I need to train them again. But what happened actually was, beside of knowing what other person will say in the next moment, which is like what happens naturally, it's out of body experience you mentioned, right?
Mm.
So I had a lot of experiences that I go in Merkaba meditation, and I put my sensors on. Drunvalo was teaching us this, right? On Merkaba, and I can lift off the ground with all of my bodies except physical. To do the physical body is something else you must do, but and it's an actual life out of body experience, and without being vulnerable like by astral projection, because astral projection you are still vulnerable. I did a lot of that, but Merkaba, you are you're actually, when you travel in your out of body experience, you're programming your Merkaba. When you say I will go to the library, um, or I will go to the pyramid or somewhere, you actually program your Merkaba to go there.
Mm.
And in the same way, our body is part of Merkaba. When I say I will lift my hands up, I'm programming my body to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the consciousness doing this. And the same is with super
So
psychic
volition,
ability.
icha. It's about your intention, right?
Intention, yeah. And also about other things. You sometimes I'm in meditation, and I can, in my meditation inner mind, I can see through the walls. But that's something like, I don't know how to say it, but I just know what everybody in the building is thinking about. And that is so overwhelming that I cannot handle it. And then I just say, okay, I cut it out, and that's it. And another thing I want to say, some people connect that if you want to see energies, you need to take something external, like psychedelics or something like that.
Right.
And I want to say, I personally, I never do that. People see me like, okay, I have like long hair and tattoo, but actually, I never do that. Really, even some teachers ask me, "Oh, you did ayahuasca?" I never did ayahuasca. I never do that. So I never smoke anything. I always want to do things by myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I think that's my way. I'm
I
not saying
appreciate that. Yeah.
any other medicine is okay, but it's not. I ask my higher self, says no. Okay, no. Yeah.
It's very even in primarily in the yoga tradition, it's clearly stated that in the Yoga Sutras that samadhi can be achieved through
Mhm.
herbs. It says herbs,
Mhm.
doesn't say drugs or anything else.
Herbs, yes.
However, however, there's a clarification where it's it's not nirguna samadhi. It's not independent samadhi.
Nirguna
It's
Samadhi.
bija samadhi. So you are subject to an external element to achieve what you want to, and so you're going to
Mm.
always create a dependence to that.
Mhm.
Unless you do it on your own, like you were talking about, you're just attached to something.
Yeah, because it's like if I'm using now something external, my body says, "Oh, I can only do it like that," and then you don't have it, and then you're gone. It's the same like if you say, some students tell me, "I can go only into my tiny space if I listen to that certain song." It's great. I'm happy that they found a way to go to the tiny space. But what if that song is gone? Can you still go to your tiny space?
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah. Did you want to add anything else about extrasensory perception, OBEs, personal experiences, students' experiences? So,
Students, yes. Well, I have quite a couple of, let's say, I would say extra students or students that I remember,
mhm.
and some of them they are children. Seeing in darkness with a mask,
Oh well, I,
right?
I, I
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that's something that you know. Only when I really start to teach, I see there are more and more people like me, right? And I see, okay, I didn't know, but it must, when I do it, I must work from the tiny space, and I will first see light. I will first see like everything white or golden, and then I will see something with my inner eye, and like a photo coming into me, and I can, but I must be in a really deep meditation, or let's say theta, right?
Yeah.
Alpha and theta brain state, and in my tiny space, and I can see through the mask. When I teach, when I guide Merkaba, I can see people around me, even I see somebody standing up or sitting down.
Wow.
But this happens when I'm really in touch with my heart. My heart and brain works, and all these things, I think they light up like this. But some students, just to give one encouragement for those who are watching, I had one student, one young man. He came to me in Asia, and he said, because in Asia they always call you, "Hey teacher," right? They don't call you by name. He said, "Hey teacher, what should I do after the workshop? How can I improve myself?" Right? He asked me, "What should I do?" And I said, "Well, what should I do every day?" He asked me, and I said, "Well, you just do unity breath, heart meditation, and beams of light, and Merkaba meditation if you want, a few times per month if you want, but actually you don't need to. You activated it, and but you just work on this, and you ask your higher self, Mother Earth, what you need to do, and that's it." And you can even practice some like you can practice seeing in the dark, like we danced on the workshop, or things like that. He said, "Okay teacher," and I was like, "Okay." And I meet this guy like 1 year later or a little more, and he did exactly every day what I told him. He was not like let's say the Westerner people, we were like lazy. We say, "Oh yeah, we do it every day. Okay, we do it every second day. Okay, we do it every month." He was doing it every day. The beams of light, the heart meditation, everything. After 1 year, I could call him super psychic. He could see auras. But really, amazing transformation as a person. Not just like, "Oh, I want to see energy." That's we don't need that. But his life changed. I don't know how to say it. It's
Fascinating.
this work. Yeah.
So did he share experiences with you, or you noticed yourself that he
Yeah.
was?
Yeah, he shared with me, and some other students also share with me experiences, like they go into their tiny space or Merkaba meditation, and they travel, and they meet extraterrestrials,
Mm,
and they talk to them, or they guide them to some other planets, or they can go back into the past or into the future. And there are also some experiences which are not so pleasant for them. Sometimes they experienced even some psychic attacks, but they feel their Merkaba protected them.
mm,
But the Earth has all sorts of beings in the between the dimensions and other dimensions. So
mm.
yeah, but
Well, that's a
yeah,
great. I'm glad you mentioned the dimensions. Mention the dimensions. why don't you
dimensions.
Why don't you expand on the subject? How do you experience dimensions? What do you think they are? What's that phenomenon?
What are dimensions? Yeah, so you can see dimensions like point, line, surface, solid, and then four-dimensional solids, and five, and so on, so on. That's one point of view. But then you see dimensions like densities.
Mm,
Okay, actually, the way how we explain dimensions are like densities, like music. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do is the next dimension.
mm,
Like our bodies are like chakras, like tones. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do you are the next density.
mm.
So
So a higher
we
frequency, higher or low, a different frequency.
different frequencies, yes. So like tuning, right? Tuning. So, but again, we go into that kind of understanding then that we say higher dimension is better.
Mm,
But do you know how many higher dimensional beings they want to come down now? Because when you go down, you can have an experience.
mm,
When you go up, you are closer to unity, is less and less experience.
mm,
You can be a planet somewhere, or you can just watch the flower growing on fifth dimension and nothing happens. And you come on Earth, it's like, wow, so many things to do. So it's not better, higher, better, lower is not good. It's just different.
Okay, appreciate that. And so, what is your take on the idea that we have to go to fifth dimension? All people claiming that we need to go to fifth dimension. I'm like, okay, show me the way. What do you mean? What's the deal with that?
Well, yeah, you buy a new phone and it's
Yeah,
better
that's
to
a new
have
game, right?
version
Oh, is
5,
that
version.
related to the 5G? 5G, 5D? Yeah.
There's also something there if you want to go into that, but for later, okay?
Oh, interesting.
Uh, yeah, but about dimensions, okay, we are on the third density, third dimension / fourth, because we are already experiencing the fourth dimension, and fourth dimension is like a transition. How I understand this, okay? I didn't really talk with Drunvalo, but Fibonacci numbers.
Yes.
Fibonacci is
Yeah.
the 1, 2, 3, 5,
Yeah.
8. Where's number 4? Now, 4, even Drew says, is a temporary dimension. We'll go to 4th dimension. He says we're just going to stay there for a couple of years, and then we go to the 5th one.
Okay.
And because number 4 is not in Fibonacci, we are actually going through Fibonacci sequence to the 144th dimension.
Right.
But 144th dimension is actually 12 plus 1.
Right.
It's like, or 12 times 12 is 144. I mean, I love sacred geometry. I teach even sacred geometry, but the 144 dimension plus 1 is, 1 plus 4 plus 4 is 9, right? That's the first digital compression in Fibonacci sequence, and the 9 is the finalization, right? And then we go again to number 0, and then again, on and on. But
Fascinating.
yeah.
I love this subject. That's how I got so hooked with Drunvalo's work. The geometry makes chaos perceivable. It makes
Yeah,
things understandable, and somehow
exactly.
it's very fascinating. But you were saying, how does that connect to the dimensions? Because
Yeah. Well, dimensions are like numbers, like tones on the piano, and
so in
we
octaves,
are.
we move within these octaves, and but
Yes.
then the question naturally arises: how do you know where you are? How do you know that you're in fourth? How do you know you're in fifth? I mean, like, the sensory
Yeah.
perceptions are very much limited to the spectrum of light unless we really expand that, and then we go back to psychic abilities and so on and so forth. Then yes, I can see it like you were talking about. But a lot of
Yeah.
people nowadays, they have no reference of perception for fifth dimension, fourth dimension, or anything else, and they're like, okay, well, we'll listen to
Yeah.
all of this, but like, they don't quite know what they're really referring to.
Well, everything can be explained female way really simple. So we can just say you just feel it. You just feel and know where you are, right? And the male way is really complicated. I think 1% of people maybe who read Flower of Life 1, maybe 1% really, really understood what Drew said about squaring the circles,
Mm.
and different dimensional consciousness levels. Because when you measure the average distance between the eyes, or the proportions of the body, or where we are as a Vitruvian man in the square and the circle,
Right.
and how high is our skull, we can measure where is our consciousness and which dimensions are we.
Oh,
So if
interesting.
there
I
would be,
heard that.
yeah, so if there would be an alien, okay, coming to Earth, says, who are these guys? He can just take a photo of like some average pictures of human, and he will say, oh, they are on this level. Okay. Because it's also related to DNA. We are now 46 chromosomes, and we are getting 2 more, and then 2 more and 2 more until 52 chromosomes, and that's the fifth dimensional, the fifth consciousness level that we can achieve here. And when we achieve higher consciousness, we also go to higher dimensions. It's a little complicated topic, but By the way, brother, you know the poker cards?
Yeah.
How many cards are in the poker deck?
Uh,
50, 52.
thank you.
Yeah, 52, and there are four suits and two colors, right?
Yes.
Uh, s- so they are the four elements: the earth, air, fire, water,
Uh-huh.
and the red and the black they represent the male, female
Polarity. Yeah.
polarity. Yes, the two pillars of Kabbalah tree, right? The light and dark, and they actually represent the map of our DNA. So the poker cards are not for entertainment; they are actually the map of DNA. And when we act, they don't come. They come from ancient Atlantis, actually.
Mm.
How I understand. And but then going back to dimensions, we are now wherever we are. Doesn't really matter. Even if you don't know anything about mathematics or numbers or whatever geometries, you can ascend by using consciousness. But there are mystery schools in India who go into magic squares and sacred numbers and 108 repeating repetitions of mantras and so on, and even sacred mathematics are part of mystery schools of ancient India. So you can even understand ascension through sacred mathematics if you want to.
Right.
So again, you say ascension can be geometrical idea of where we are in proportion, or music, or you can say numbers, or you can say female way. I don't care about this stuff. I just work on my heart, and
And
that's
feel
what
it.
I feel it. And
I have a personal opinion on the subject, and this is an arrogant intuition slash perception. Okay, I have very little experience on on what I'm about to say, so but I'll just share it with you, and it's the fact that the two have to come together. The male and female perceptions have to unite in one level. Then we're complete. And
Mhm,
that's what really happens also on the brain, like the creative side of the brain and the logical side of the brain. They have to come together when we make decisions, or when we need to interact in life, and or when we're doing anything, because simply because yes, you could be more versed at the female way, and I know a lot
mhm,
of guys that are very sensory, and they just
mhm,
feel it, and it's that's their truth, and a lot of other guys that are really into digging and cutting and pasting and labeling. Like, I'm that kind. I love to
mhm,
analyze and put labels and structure and organize. That's how my mind works. Very, very visual. And but I know that my visualization, my cutting down, my labeling, it's always kind of limited when I come to making decisions. My mind is
mhm,
never has the 100% perception of things. There's always a risk. There is always a risk of missing data, missing information, missing an option
mhm,
of the plethora algorithmic options that are out there. So prediction is limited on one level. With the mind, you can do it, but then the intuition on the female side and the sensing things needs to come into place, because it gives you more data, and it gives you more perception. It gives you that extra gear, and so I think in the future we'll have to kind of find a way to unite this. Maybe I don't know if you ever have a
mhm,
chance to talk to Drew, but I'm sure that there will be a way to put it together where people can practice both of them.
mhm. Yeah, I think this is already happening.
Oh,
I know many of ATIH teachers. When we talk, some of them they would even say that they are more male way, and some of them they're pure female way. They will, when we would talk about anything more than just Fibonacci, this would be like, oh no, it's too much. For example, I like both ways. I like to understand. I like to structure things and have everything in a box. And another part of me likes to have things unorganized. So to have things because whenever there's a chaos, there will be something coming out of that primordial chaos of ideas. So I think the two things. And from the how the brain actually works is the lab brain wants one idea, one truth, one way, and the female way says, oh yeah, I'm okay with paradox. Paradox is fine with me.
Mm.
So the working these two energies, they are not compatible if you're just in one or the other. But the corpus callosum, you know, the middle part of the brain, which connects the left and right hemisphere, actually needs to be active on the energy level, spiritual level, I don't know how to say it, to actually really merge with your heart.
Wow,
So
interesting.
if a person is really right brain,
Right.
it will not necessarily mean that this person is really good in going to the heart.
Mm.
And if the person is really left brain, it's like both things together. Like that's why mystery schools in Egypt or in other schools, around the world, they wanted a student to study the things in the boxes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like the logical stuff, and they also want them to go into the unsafe areas of where you don't know what's going on, the female way where you just feel it and just do it. And these two things coming together, Drew, you said if we talk to Drew, actually that's the point of ATIH, actually, that we understand and we also experience, or
Yeah.
we do it with
Feel.
intuition.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the point.
Beautiful.
If a student can do that, he will master the teaching.
Right. Right. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that. One more fringe question. Egypt, the Sphinx, whatever is under the paw of the Sphinx, your personal experience, Hall of Amenti, what's under the plateau. Apparently, they have found a big underground quarters, living quarters under the plateau. Um, share what you know with us, please.
Okay. Well, I know, well, anything that I can say, I can also say, okay, I heard this from that guy or that video or that book or something. But I was in Egypt already 12 times.
Mm.
And every time I try, to go somewhere beyond the limits, somewhere. Sometimes I have like a private time around that area, not with students, but by myself or just from other people. But there are entrances uh, under the Sphinx. And even this time, we recorded one entrance, but we could just go like 1 meter inside with a stick, because then the guards start to come and we need to act like normal tourists again. There's a really deep tunnel going. It's behind the Sphinx. One is behind the Sphinx,
Uh-huh.
and there's even a ladder, iron ladder. It's like they put it there, I think, a few decades ago already, because it's really rusty.
Uh-huh.
So you could go down there, and they just say, oh, it's nothing there. That's the official answer. And there's another entrance from the right side. There's another entrance from on the right paw of the Sphinx, and there's one behind the stela. And some of them, they were being opened by force with dynamite. There's one opening on the head, and on like 5 holes in the Sphinx, actually. But what is under the Sphinx? There's no official photo. I have some photos um, from some people that they shouldn't send me, but I have them. They said, don't show this to anybody. But it's still just photo of, it's like a photo of a tunnel with bad lighting, and you cannot see much, and there's just the wall at the end.
Mm.
What Drunvalo says is that wall, uh, I mean, that wall that rock there was being brought later by Egyptologists, by, let's call them, Egyptian mafia. They know what's there, but they just put a stone there so that it's a physical obstacle that no one goes through there.
Right.
And Drew Drunvalo says that there's a force field, and if somebody it's a protection. So if you're not ready to go there, you might die. And there are so many stories about the underground tunnels under the Sphinx, the Giza area. There are like thousands of thousands of tunnels down there. Okay, and these tunnels, they don't just go around this Giza; they go all the way to Saqqara and Dashur and so on.
Interesting.
And when I talk to anybody who knows something, they are always okay. I will just tell you, okay, but please, I can see fear on their face. Like if somebody would know that they went there, it's not just about they will lose their job. It looks like they feel fear for their life when they talk to me about that they were there. So there are tunnels. There are many rooms under the whole area there. And if you, I mean, I can say I traveled there with my students in Merkaba or meditation, but that's no proof for what we are talking about, right? Anybody can say I went with my Merkaba or meditation somewhere. But photos, I have seen photos, and I have some of them, but I promise these people don't show. But still, it's not much to show. It's just rocks, and you know. There is a Hall of Amenti. There's the library. There's the source of the story that we are living right now on Earth.
Right.
So everything that is like Akasha is like a story we have written, and we are now rereading it over and over again, like cyclical, and it's already written there what will happen at the end of times. So this Akasha, you can access it in meditation, but physical access, those who went there, yeah, some of them they are just saying, but they didn't really go there. Or if they went there, they need to be really secret about it, you know.
Right. Very interesting. Fascinating. I mean, the stories about Hall of Amentis and the whole plateau are recorded in so many books. The literature is endless out
Yeah,
there.
it's
There's so much work around all of this. I think we can. You know what I will do? Probably I'll just add links to these books and this literature for those that want to go in depth on the subject. And if anyone watching this interview wants to ask questions on specifically something related, please do so. I'll try to answer myself. I'll just ask Luca to answer. Anyone can continue the conversation below in the questions in the Q&A session. We're coming to the end of our interview, but I want to ask you one question about the sun. I think it's a very important subject. Tell me what you think about our the master of our solar system, you know, our star, and what is going on the sun, and those that supposedly live there, and what happens on a spiritual level for souls that travel beyond death.
Okay. Just before interview, we already talked a little bit about this. Well, there are people who went beyond death and came back, and they give an experience about what happened, right? Actually, when I was 11, I didn't really tell you this. When I was 11, I had near-death experience. I died, and I came back. And actually, it's when Drunvalo talked about walk-in, I knew exactly what he talks about because I had this when I was 11. But I had a memory of coming from what you talk about, from the light, or some people say from the sun, or you know, these things, to Earth, to this body. And the thing is that there is when a soul comes to Earth, it's not really so easy to come here. They must go through different ways and preparations and tunnels. Now we call them Birkeland currents, because now we know what they are. But you need to, before you come to Earth, they must prepare you. And one of the places where they prepare you, everybody was on Sirius, the blue water planet. Everybody, because otherwise you come to Earth, you have no idea what's here.
Right.
But some people have experienced that they lived on the sun. I don't have that memory, but inside the sun, there are beings. I travel there sometimes in meditation or with my students, and they are similar, like you say, plasma, like inside the Earth. They are like, they can change form, and at least those guys that I saw, they can change forms, and they can actually change into anything. And the sun, actually, it's I love our son. I have a big love for him, and the beings inside, they are such pure beings. But what you mentioned before interview, even, it's about different, that some people talk about the networks, that the souls can be captured, and they can be some other aliens, and so on. That's also true. When we go down into the rabbit hole, we cannot just decide, I just want to hear the good stuff about this topic, and and the other stuff. So there are some species in our galaxies that they want, the only way to survive is that they go on a planet and they want to take the planet. And they think this is the only way, because, and they think they're the good guys. Everybody thinks they're the good guy, right? And they are also on our planet. They have been on Atlantis, even. In the Emerald Tablets, Thoth explains that the king of Atlantis needs to come in front of the people and prove that they are not reptilian, right?
Right.
And actually, this is happening since forever on Earth, and even in our DNA, we have part of a reptilian DNA, and so on, so on. But what happens after you die? My understanding is that at the beginning, you're going to project the story that you expect it will be. So if you if your point of view is that you'll meet Buddha, you meet Buddha. If you think you'll meet Jesus, you'll meet Jesus, or Muhammad, you'll meet Muhammad. Like, you'll meet what you expect to see. But then, because it's four-dimensional consciousness, you create as you go, and you will this story will just disappear. And it can be, that there would be some souls being part of another agenda and another network and consciousness, that they would be lost or captured even. That's another story. But the Christ consciousness is another geometry, which Jesus didn't say that he will come after 2000 years. So it's not a waiting of Christ. It's as a person, it's a consciousness coming. Right. So we are connecting to that consciousness, and in a way, it's another collective. And what will happen after we die will also depend on where we come from which stars. Remember the last 90-degree turn that Drunvalo, if you know that one, yeah. So when you go the last 90-degree, you go into the center of the galaxy. And I have a memory of this. I have a vivid memory. When my prophecy of my death, I die and I will just be catapulted to the center of the galaxy. So that's my memory. And but it can be that a person will stay here and being reincarnated. The thing is that there are some energies on our planet since thousands of years ago, still here. Of course, they are integrated in governments and corporations, and they want their own agenda. Right. And that is why they are afraid of awakening. Right. But you cannot stop spring after winter. Right. We are now the darkest night, the winter solstice, like la la la. And now we go into the spring. And they try to have the control of us and all these things, but you can't. So that's why I don't worry. I'm the person in our spiritual circles who I say, I don't worry about 5G. I don't worry about having microchips in the. I don't worry about these things because I know my consciousness is stronger than this.
Right.
But if I'm afraid of it,
Mm.
if I'm fighting against it, I'm already creating a story, a timeline where we need to fight it.
Right.
So fighting something, we make it stronger.
And
So
that's also the paradigm of what you think is what you become. Which is
yeah,
one of the biggest.
one thing, what you fight against, that you will also become.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the energy you put into.
Yeah, you will become, if you are fighting against reptilians, you will become the same energy that you're fighting against.
Oh, interesting. Never heard of
You
that.
know, because you are, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like your consciousness doesn't see a difference if you are talking about somebody else or
Mm-hmm.
about yourself.
Mm.
So if I'm putting attention on the things that I hate, it's already putting this inside me, and I'm making a seed that
Right,
I'm going to become what I don't want to have.
right,
So it's again the middle path that we always come back to
right.
is the way.
Okay, I wanna close this interview with you telling us how to get in touch with you and what's your website, your email address, and how to and what's on your agenda. What events are you planning?
Okay, so on this planet you can reach me through joke. Uh, uh,
On
well,
Earth,
I have
here's my address.
yeah, I have a website, awakening-heart.org.
Yeah.
Um, I'm on Facebook. I'm Lu space Ka Luca, and pretty much that's it. But those who need to find me, they will find me. I'm on School of Remembering website.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
have a website for promoting this ATIH work. It's rememberingtheheart.org.
Yeah. That's where I found your email. Yeah.
Yeah, so all the ATIH teachers who who said, hey, I want to be on that website, they are there.
Yeah.
That's the website we created because last year Drunvalo told us and also told me by the phone. He said, you guys you can make a website if you want, just to promote, but we are still School of Remembering certified teachers, but that is just a marketing or promotional website,
Right.
just like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a new tool for you guys to become known to the community. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can spread a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And so what's next? So you're having this workshop in 3 weeks in China, and then you're gonna be there a little
Well,
longer.
I don't know what will happen now. Because I lost now almost more than 1 month with being don't go anywhere. But it's I will have workshops now in China. I would love to go to Hong Kong this year. Back, I have many friends and students there. But I teach in Europe. I have workshops scheduled for Germany, Slovenia, Croatia, Switzerland for this year. But online workshops are something that we also do. But it's you will reach Merkaba and Tiny Space, but you must know that some exercises cannot be done online.
Yeah, I agree.
Cannot be done, but it's still a wonderful experience.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Okay, so you guys heard it. Go to Luca's website, which is again.
Oh, don't worry, you can find me if you need to.
we'll
I'm on
we'll we'll we'll, we'll add it
I'm
here
on
on the.
I'm on School of Remembering website under Teachers Luca. You can find me there, official profile. Yeah,
No worries.
yeah.
Thank you for this interview. It was a pleasure talking with you. I hope we meet
Me
each
too.
other when you come back to Europe.
I hope to meet you. Yeah,
I'll
you know.
definitely take another ATIH, and you'll be the teacher for that. And
Well, if it's in the divine plan, let's say, right? If it's planned.
Well, it's definitely my intention.
Well, yeah,
And
it was
so
lovely.
this is Luca, you guys. Thank you for joining us for this interview. As usual, follow us, click the like button. It supports us very much. Any questions you have, write them down below here. We're always available for question and answers. The teachers are available to answer your questions. And toward the end of this interview series, we will have a major live event where people can ask questions directly, and I will just facilitate it with all the teachers that want to join us. Thank you again. Have a lovely, lovely day, and see you in the next interview. Take care. Bye-bye.